Okay. Okay. I hope that light works. I hope that light works. There. Maybe that's a little bit. Okay. I am back in El Salvador and it feels so good to be home. Let me just say that. It feels so good to be here. I'm taking this live out on my balcony. I think this is my place where I'm going to do my live on Sunday from here on out because I love being out here. I love being out in the nice fresh air because it's El Salvador. Okay, so this day, because I've had a lot of diaspora and people calling and contacting me in this last week about moving back to El Salvador. I thought I'd do a little kind of Q&A and leave things open for you guys to ask questions about moving back here. Maybe explain a little bit of this because I got to have my first El Salvador public health experience this week of going through the public health system in order to take care of this. Trust me, it looked a lot better when they did it. This is my makeshift little way of retaping it after I tried to take a shower after they had done it. But yeah, so who am I? I am Jeni Ari, la Gringa Salvadoreña, and I have lived in El Salvador for over 3.5 years, and I have an immigration relocation company that I work for called Living Like a Local, where we help you move here and everything, help you find house, help you get the right school for your kids, help you everything, find a good car, if you're going to even do a car. There's so many questions, there's so many things to freak out about when you're moving, not just moving period, but moving to a new country. That's why my husband and I started Living Like a Local, to help people integrate into society. Yeah, and so that's what we're here for. So if you could just put down in the chat down below, type in where you are watching from or what your connection to El Salvador is, or if you have any questions about El Salvador. And one of the big things I'm going to start off with is, do you know daylight savings time? Guess what? We don't do it. That's kind of a weird thing of like living in the States. You think, oh, well, this is just logical. You know, once you move out of the States, you start to say, you kind of get to see where other countries kind of get their attitude towards the US of why do you guys think you're all that? Because the rest of the world does not do daylight savings because they're like, okay, you think you're God, you can just sit there and change what time it is out of the blue. And so yeah, so I don't even know. According to you guys, I have in my life that I do it at 4:00 on Sundays, SV time. So that used to be 5 Eastern time, but now it's probably 6 Eastern time since it's spring ahead and you guys sprung ahead this morning. So now we're probably on Mountain time, whereas half the year we're on Central time, the other half of the year we're on Mountain time. So now we just switched over to Mountain time. Yeah, that's one of the big differences about El Salvador is, yeah, we, like the rest of the world, we don't do daylight savings because, you know, it's kind of just, we're not that, I don't know, like El Salvador is just, we're not control freaks around here. Like, yeah, Salvadorans aren't, they work to live, they don't live to work, and they're not like crazy control freaks of like, oh, we have to even control our timing. And so yeah, so no, we don't do that. So my time to do this live does not change. It's always going to be 4 p.m. SV time, but even though it may be changing on your time, depending upon where you're watching it from. Hello. Hey, Alex. I'm watching from Orlando. I was born in San Salvador and moved to the U.S. in the early 90s. Wow. Alex, I hope you've been back because it has so changed. And I grew up in Lakeland, and you probably know where Lakeland is. You got to be from O-Town to know where Lakeland is. But let's see who else. James, watching from San Jose. Hey, I used to live in Pleasanton. James, just up the road from San Jose. Yeah, climate's kind of similar to San Jose, huh? Because it's so temperate. Kind of like here. Pleasanton was really pretty, but ooh, so expensive. Oh, so expensive. But yeah. But have you guys known? Okay, so right now, I'll talk a little bit about this. My video is going to come out this week about the public health system in El Salvador and what happened. But I was teaching my neighbor kid and my daughter how to play volleyball. And yeah, and the volleyball jammed into my pinky and it blew up like a balloon and it looked like a salchicha. So yeah, so I went to my neighborhood clinic, and then of course I ended up going to the hospital up in Saldaña. And of course, both of them, since I am a permanent resident, both of them were free. But yeah, it did take a while. But you'll be seeing that video coming out on my channel probably this week about what that whole process is like and what public health here in El Salvador is like. Because I know like some Canadians, I've seen some Canadians that have compared their experience with public health here versus the experience in Canada. But they are, yeah, they say it's great. They say it's much better than Canada as far as wait time and cleanliness, in their opinion. I've never done Canada public health system. All I know for me is in the US, for just me and my son on Marketplace, to have insurance, even with a massive deductible, even with massive copays and everything else, it was still $800 a month. And that was like never, ever necessarily going in. So, and yeah, we still get to pay it just because. So I was very happy with this super quick and easy. Look, I just need an x-ray. I just want to make sure it's not broken. And lo and behold, it actually was broken. So they found a little chip floating right next to my knuckle in the x-ray. So now I know when my hand starts acting up, I know it's all Chip's fault and that Chip is floating around in there. But either way, I have to do this for 4 weeks. Which isn't such a bad thing, because that means that my daughter and my husband has to do the dishes for the next 4 weeks. Just saying, there's a silver lining on everything. But let's see. So James says, what are the tax implications for foreigners on El Salvador? Do Americans pay income tax on worldwide income? Okay, James, yes. So when it comes to taxes, yes, if you are an American citizen and you live outside of the U.S. and you are outside of the U.S. for under 30 days, so that means you only have less than a month in the U.S., then you can claim, you do not have to pay U.S. taxes. You can claim like, I forget exactly what it's called, but it's like foreign income state status or something, where if you live outside of the U.S. or during the year, if you've been outside of the U.S. for 30 days or less, you do not have to pay taxes. If you are in the U.S. for any more than 30 days, yep, you have to pay the same old taxes that you have to pay every single year. But I have heard little rumors that Trump might be changing that. And hello, if he does, woohoo, because the U.S. there's very few countries that actually do that, tax their citizens when they're not actually living in their country. The U.S. is one of them. I think the U.K. is actually considering doing that also, taxing their citizens even if they live foreign. But I don't know. Trump has done a lot, and he's changed a lot. So, and he's just starting. So you never know what could happen with that. He could broaden it and make it something like, well, maybe 2 months or 3 months, or might do something entirely different. You never know with Trump. So we'll see what happens. Let's see. I've been visiting the country 2 or 3 times per year since President Bukele was first elected and controlled the climate. Oh, that's great, Alex. Yeah. And so you've seen the changes, and it's so cool. And I have a friend that called me up, and she's got some lots up in Huayua that she subdivided, and that are gorgeous. if you're looking for having maybe a plan B or a vacation house or an Airbnb down here, contact Living Like a Local. We can take you around and show you some of we have a realtor that we work with, some possible plates like the Huayua lots, that are just gorgeous, because that's kind of my goal, because I have kids that are in the US, and they'll come and visit down here, but can't really, I'm not going to have all of them at once. So the goal is to kind of have a home base in the States and a home base here. And we have land here, by Wisicar, and we're hoping to start getting an engineer and start working on our plans for our farm. It's a little finca out there, and to start building what will be kind of our home base down here in El Salvador. So yeah, if you're interested in something like that, totally contact us, because yeah, it's great investment. It's great backup plan. All the above. Let's see. James says, what is the quality of healthcare in El Salvador? Is there a go-to hospital expats tend to go to? I'd say if there's a go-to hospital, it's possibly it's private, and it's the Hospital Diagnóstico. That's the main one that I see people going to down here. But it's a private hospital, but it's nice and quick. I went public, and it was, I mean, granted, I went to the one up on Planet de Renderos, which is kind of, and I went to that one outside of town. When I was in the public clinic, she let me choose. She said, well, we don't do x-rays, because that's just it. They have lots of little neighborhood clinics, all around, that you can go to. And I found out you can go there for anything. You can go there for like viruses, bacterium, scratches, bumps, bruises, hives, rashes, anything like that. But if you need a big machine, okay, an x-ray machine, an MRI machine, if whatever your malady is, if you need a big machine, then you have to go to a public hospital. And so even though I went through like an hour and a half of going through the little clinic that's close to where I live, at the end, she's like, okay, well, I gave you this referral slip to go up. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go to this hospital up by Mexicanos, or do you want to go to this one up in Saldaña? And I said, well, let's go to the Saldaña one. Now, once the hospital, I think it's Rosales, that's being built in the centro, once that's done, I think it'll take a lot of traffic from the one up in Mexicanos. But I'd heard through the grapevine that had a really long line. And so I'm like, yeah, I'll go further out. I'll go out in the campo, and hopefully there'll be a shorter line. So I went up to Saldaña, and I still ended up being there for a good 4.5 hours. But it was definitely really packed for a little country hospital. But I got great care, and the doc was great. When I finally got a hold of the doc, she was really understanding. She's really great. I'm like, look, you've got way more important patients to take care of than me. I just need an x-ray. Please just give me a quick x-ray. She's like, sure, here you go. Go on down to the x-ray. This lady, who's a lot more, has a lot bigger injuries than you, she's heading down there. You just walk down there with them and just take this with you. It was quick, easy breezy. And she's like, when you come back, just come back straight to me. I went back to her. She pulled up the x-rays and dug in really deep, and they were really thorough. They took like three different x-rays of my pinky, like, the straight on x-ray, then turned it kind of at the side, and then they took like one straight x-ray, really focused in on just that one finger. And that was the one where you could actually see the little chip floating. The other ones, you couldn't see them. But the one on the side, that's where you could see him, Mr. Chip. And I got to meet Mr. Chip. But yeah, she saw that and she's like, oh yeah, you got him floating right there. It's going to be a good 4 weeks. And she gave me like some painkillers, some like Tylenol, some stuff for inflammation. But I'm not a big pharmaceutical drug person. So I kind of skipped it. But But yeah, and then she wrapped it. She did my finger up. Yeah, it was. And then I got out of there. She was awesome. But let's see. What else is going on? Is there a go-to hospital? Oh yeah, I already told that. So the quality of the healthcare that I got was great. It was exactly what I needed. Let's see. Sorry for the typos. I'm walking while watching your video. It's okay, Alex. Hey, you're staying healthy. That's what matters. That's why we love Trump. Yep, he is. Ooh, he gets in there and he gets her done. Just saying. Do Americans pay income taxes to El Salvador? Okay, so it depends. James asks, do Americans pay income taxes? That depends if you pay income taxes. Thank you. So we'll talk later. Okay. So it depends on what you are. So if you are a resident, if you come into El Salvador, number one, get legal. I mean, if there's any lesson to learn with all the craziness that's happening, it's do things legally. If you at all possibly can, do things legally. And that's why we set up living like a local, because bureaucracy down here is very real. And so living like local, we have one immigration package for your residency. You come in, we sit you down, we look through everything that you want to do, all your possibilities, where you're getting your income from, and we figure out which is the best residency for you. It's one package cost, and it includes everything. I mean, technically you can do your residency yourself, but it's kind of like when doing residency, it's kind of like doing your taxes. Why do you use an accountant? I mean, technically you can do your taxes too. You can get there on, TurboTax, say beep, 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 but you use an accountant because there may be ins and outs that you don't know and tax breaks that you don't know about, that he may know about, that'll end up saving you like tons and tons of money. Similarly, in El Salvador, yes, you can dig on the internet and you can find technically the paperwork, but it's a lot of things that they don't tell you on there. For example, we had a client that was coming from Panama. They were expats, gringos that lived in Panama, but they said, Panama is not for us. Even with the tax breaks, no. Panama is, we do not like the attitude. We don't like being scammed. We don't like being down here at all. And so they were coming up. So at first they did their research too. They got in there and they said, oh, well, we'll just be digital nomads. We'll just do the digital nomad residency. But because they went with us, our legal team went in there and say, oh, wait a minute. You want to bring your car? Because they had a really nice Land Rover. And buying cars down here is, yeah, and we kind of encourage them, like, you have a really good car. You really want to bring it in, because the cars here aren't that good. Most of the used cars are totals from the US that they bring down, and they kind of rebend the frame back, and you never know what you're kind of getting, even running the Carfax, which is another reason why we started doing car help to help people find cars. But so they wanted to bring their car in, but to bring their car in under a digital nomad residency, paying like 30 plus 40, like really high import taxes. Okay, so it ended up being just an insane amount of money for them to bring the car. But switching their residency to a comparable residency that lets you bring in assets actually ended up saving them thousands of dollars. And that's kind of an example why I have to say, man, go with somebody who knows what you're doing. Don't DIY this. Our packages have everything included. It has all your police checks included. It has all your everything you have to go. Because if you can go to a lawyer and they'll say, oh, it's just $400. Just give me $400. Yeah. He's only talking about one little thing and all of the steps that you have to do for your residency. So that's to explain a little bit about why our packages are more than just my lawyer, because we include it all. It's all one price, and you won't have to pay another single thing. It includes even the fees and the taxes you pay for the government. And this all comes from his question about what taxes do we pay? We do not pay income taxes to the Salvadoran government. What you pay as a resident, if you're an American living here, you pay your annual residence fees, and those are the taxes that you pay down here. Another big thing about taxes is there is no property tax in El Salvador, which is a great thing for investors. So that's kind of the long roundabout way of explaining taxes in El Salvador. Now, once you become a Salvadoran citizen, different story. But if you're just talking about Americans paying income taxes here in El Salvador, no, not if you're just a resident. Let's see what's next. Huisicar is nice for starting a farm. Congratulations. Thanks, Alex. Do I speak Spanish? Sí, yo hablo español. Más o menos bien. You know, it depends upon the day. I have my good days, my bad days. But, let's see. Oh, there's Pixology. Hi. Hi, thank you for your time doing this video. No problem, MC. Hello, this is Jose and Teresa from Alachua, Florida. Hey, I know where you guys are, and most people don't know where Alachua is. Alachua, sorry, saying it like Spanish. We are considering moving to El Salvador in the next 1 to 2 years. Can't wait. Love your videos. Hey, thanks for coming. Yeah, you'll love it. I grew up in Florida. Oh man, I hated that humidity and the heat, and I love them. Humidity here is nothing like Florida. It's, I don't know, it's just like, it's like perfect. It's not dry. It's not dry at all. It is humid, but it's not like oppressive humid like Florida is. Just saying. Hey, Gordo. Hey, how's it going? By the way, looking good. I saw your last video. Man, you're going to have to change your name to Flaco Soya City soon. Because, yeah, you're like losing an entire person. Way to go on the diet, man. Could you take a little about the... Hi, can I help you?
Say hi to Gordo.
Could you... Oh, okay. Let's see. Could you talk a little bit about the pensionado visa? Okay, so some of the... Okay, first of all, I got to talk about visas in general. When you come here as a tourist, you get 6 months. If you ask, you say you want a full, it's called a permiso de turismo. Okay, most people would call it a visa. It's technically not a visa. It's a permiso de turismo. You get 6 months to mess around in El Salvador, play around, check it out. Just go where you want to go in El Salvador, right? Okay, that is a permiso de turismo. If you have to get a visa, that means you are from a country that doesn't have a very powerful passport. Powerful passport means like countries like Iraq and Iran and, you know, North Korea. People with passports from those countries cannot go into very many countries. Okay, they have a very weak passport. So if you're from what's considered first world, you have no problem coming in. You don't technically need a visa. If you're from like second, third world, you probably will need to go and submit at a consulate for a visa. I think the one in Asia is in Singapore. So you have to, so just those kind of lower kind of countries, those need visas. But the majority of you guys are all coming at me from first world level. And so you technically don't need a visa. Now, what a pensionado residency is they have like a retirement residency. They have like an investor residency. They have like the digital nomad is kind of closer to a pensionado. They technically do not have, no, sweetheart, don't come out here. So, they don't technically have a digital nomad. It all depends upon where you're getting your money from. And every type of residency has different permisos, different conditions. So, for example, some of those residencies will allow you to work here. Some of those residencies will allow you to start a business if you're doing something. If you're just a temporary, you typically cannot work in El Salvador. Once you become a permanent resident, then you have a lot more freedom. There's also issues when it comes to your amount of time. If you're coming to El Salvador and your first year, don't apply for residency until you're ready to commit. I mean, like all in, because your first year as a temporary resident, or well, while you're a temporary resident, you need to be in the country for at least 8 to 9 months. Like you can leave for up to 3 months consecutively. That's the maximum that you can leave if you're a temporary resident, or 4 months total. So you could go for like 3 months in the spring and then go for maybe 1 month later. But really, you don't want to cut it close. So when you're a temporary resident, you need to be ready to commit. When you're ready to commit, great. Yeah, call us up and we'll get your residency done. We'll look over all your stuff, the things you want to bring, the things you want to do. In order to make sure you have the right kind of residency. Now, typically it's 2 years as a temporary resident, and then 3 years. This is for most residencies, not all. Like if you're coming from a Hispanic country, another Hispanic country, this is shorter. If you're married to a Salvadoran, this is much shorter. But typically it's 2 years as a temporary, 3 years as a permanent resident. Then you can apply for citizenship and you can get a passport. Or you can pay $1 million at the government website and they will give you a passport and give you residency and give you citizenship tomorrow. So those are your options. Let's see. Let's see. Hi, Gringa. Hi, Garcia. Sorry about your accident. Do you know if are there going to be more tariffs for El Salvador from the USA? I don't think Trump's going to do a whole lot of tariffs for El Salvador, because I mean, we're pretty buddy. I mean, hello, his kids showed up for Bukele's, second inauguration. We're taking a lot of the President Bukele is using the massive jail system that he created to handle our pandilleros, and he's going to be taking some of the violent criminals from the U.S. And putting them in the jail system. So the U.S. really likes El Salvador. So no, I don't necessarily think there's going to be tariffs from the U.S. towards us, because they really like us. So let's see. The taxes on pensionados. MC's asking about taxes on pensionados. Well, again, if you are a pensionado, if you have a pensionado residency, you're just going to have to pay. You have to pay for your residency once a year. So the only taxes you're going to be paying is going to be, you don't pay taxes on food here. I need to make sure that's clear. Like you don't pay property taxes. You don't pay taxes on, like if you buy food at a mercado or at the supermarket, whatever rings up. Imported items you typically do pay taxes on, but not on food. So the tax on pensionado is like the once a year when you go in and you have to get your residency renewed. And again, it's definitely less than $1,000. I mean, depending on a pensionado, I think it's closer to like around 500 to 400. But it's just that really time. Hi, Gordo. No entiendo, pero aquí estoy. Gracias, Gordo. Solo estaba diciendo que yo vi su video y se ve súper guapo, hombre. Vas a cambiar su nombre a Flaco Soya City muy pronto. En serio, bien hecho. Yo necesito tus sugerencias. Because I've been in the U.S. for a while and I have gained a lot of weight, which is typical. Every time I go to the U.S., I always balloon up, and then I'm down here, and then everything goes back down. So I have a lot of weight to lose. I'm so excited and happy. And within 6 months, I'm serious, I'm dropping 50 pounds within 6 months, because this is the most I've ever weighed in my life. Like, even more than pregnancy. It's bad. And yeah, part of it's probably menopause, but just saying. Anyway, Mom's got a plan, and El Salvador is part of my big health plan for the future. So, Gordo Soy City está hablando de cómo se vive en El Salvador. Oh, I see. How much is rent for a house with 4 bedrooms? Hello from Jacksonville. Hi, Gabriel. Rent for a house with 4 bedrooms. Okay. Depends on where. If you're talking Escalon, San Benito, that's high end of the city, where you could get, it could be anywhere from 24 to, I say 1700. You could get a 4-bedroom outside of that, maybe in Santa Tecla. Now, granted, you knew that the bedrooms here are a lot smaller than the bedrooms in the US. But I think you could probably get a 4-bedroom in Santa Tecla for closer to like 1,000 to 13. Actually, wait a minute. I have clients that I just helped move in. It was a family. So my concierge clients, it's the big package that we do, where we help you do everything. So we found them a house directly across the street from the school that their son was going to go to, because traffic in El Salvador is no joke. So when they're like, oh, well, we think we want to go here, I'm like, no, honey, where's your school? And so once we found the school, because that school usually has at least an hour car line waiting to get in. So we found them a place to rent at a really good deal for $1,300, and it was, I think it was, or technically it's 3-bedroom. They have an upstairs. They have 2.5 bath in the house, but then they have a servant's quarters, which are typically here. So it's kind of like an extra bedroom in the back with a whole nother full bathroom. So, I mean, and then they have another shed and a garage in the back, and they had a really big, nice yard. So they were paying $1,300, and it was right across from this. It was a screaming deal. When I found that, I was like, cha-ching. Okay, I earned my money just on finding and working out and sealing the deal with that place for that family, because it was beautiful. And now they're even renovating a little bit and making the kitchen even better. And we worked that out with their landlord. And working with landlords is, that's a whole nother ballpark, a whole nother reason why you might want to use our service, because Salvadoran landlords, you have typically Salvadoran landlords, no, it's, you take it as it is. If you don't like it, that's on you, honey. And no, there's no fixing this, fixing that. It's like, if it's ugly, oh well. You don't really have any say. So the landlord that we got was amazing, and he's even letting her do changes to the kitchen, and he's paying for the kitchen overhaul, which, I mean, and they even were kind of like, oh, well, we don't know if we like this or that. And I was like, honey, I'm saying this with all of my heart. Don't mess this up. This is a beautiful house. This is a great landlord, one that will actually work with you. If he says no, don't push it. Just take it and go with it, because this is a great property, and he is very understanding. I've had landlords here that, for my clients, they're like, we want a cosigner. I'm like, he's a 65-year-old retired Marine, and you want a cosigner? Do you want me to call up his 80-year-old mom? But the thing is, you have to understand, El Salvador culture, people are very, very risk adverse, and there's no tort law. And so you can't, like, doing small claims courts. That's not a thing here. So they want like security upon security upon security. So in the end, it ends up being kind of a real pain in the derriere, especially in this market where there are very few rental houses and a lot of people looking. So, just saying. So, there's an example. You said a 4 bedroom. I think that's the closest I could get to a 4 bedroom. It was 1,300. It really should have been. It's in Santa Tecla, which is a nice kind of suburbia of San Salvador. And really, I think on the market today, it'd be closer to 15 would probably be the typical price, um, especially for all the accommodations that he did. But yeah, so that's what I would say for to answer your question. Let's see. Sorry, I meant pensionado residency. Coming from the USA. Thank you so much. Okay. Hola, Gabriel. Hi, Jesse. Do you think that mega prison El Salvador is secure so new prisoners won't escape? Oh yeah, CCOT is massive lock time. I have no qualms, no issues, no worries about anybody getting out, getting out of the mega prison at all, for two reasons. Because it is, I mean, they are intense. They are intense on their security and their maximum security. Number one, and number two, if anybody did get out, Salvadoreños would turn them in like that. Man, after all these years of living kind of under the abuse of the pandilleros, if a criminal got out and tried to start pulling junk, man, you see it all the time here. No, Salvies, they whip out their phone in 2 seconds and they start recording. Like, they'll record him saying, trying to bully, trying to do anything. Anybody saying that we're pandillero, nah, they record him and up on social media, their location. They tag the police. They tag President Bukele. They tag, and that's just it. Like, Salvies, they're not putting up with crap. I mean, even you can even like do traffic violations, and they're out there with their phones, like, see, look at this. Cops, come get this guy. He's breaking the law. I mean, no, they will totally. They've just lived with lawlessness for so long. They ain't having it. So even if somebody did get out, I think they would get busted so fast that, yeah, nah, I'm not worried about it. Hi, I'm from Cuscatlan, now living here in Rogers, Arkansas for 45 years. So I'm happy that our little country is safe. It is super safe, Carlos. Thank you for the information. No problem. Hi, Ginger. Hey, girl. You inspire me with what you're doing with your weight transformation. Yep, I'm going to do it too. I'm telling you, 6 months from now, I'm going to be a skinny girl. Would a monthly SSI disability check be acceptable to get the pension residency, or can it only be retirement money? No, Ginger, it depends. No, as long as it's a regular, like you show like some like 6 months or so, is you can show like a regular deposit that comes in every single month, and you can show the documentation about where it's coming from. It's all about the amount. Typically, it has to be 3 times. I think it's 3 times um, 3 times the national like minimum wage, something like that. Maybe it's 4 times. I don't know. You'll have to talk to our legal team. They can tell you exactly what it is. But yeah, it just, you have to show that you have a history of it. You have to have the official documentation. A lot of times you have to get it apostilled that it is from the if it's disability, then it would be from the Social Security office. We can help with that too. We've done that for a bunch of our clients. But it's all included in our immigration package. That's just one price. We do it all, period. Let's see. For the pension residency, yeah. So I guess, I hope that answers your question. Yeah, it's usually just proof of income is what it's talking about. Hello. Thank you. We are guardians of our adult child and get his monthly check. Was wondering about that. Okay, so if you have an adult child, then they are a dependente. So you would be coming with, well, I think you're married to a Salvi. So you would have, honey, actually go on the website. I have under the immigration packages, on the website, it says immigration survey. Click on that survey and go down that survey. Talk about, do it from a you perspective. Say, okay, I'm a gringa, married to a Salvadoran. I'm bringing this, also non-Salvi dependent, older dependent, not child. It'll ask you that on the survey. And then it'll kick back to you what the requirements are. Because if he's, because technically if you don't want to work, if you just want to get your residency as a spouse, that's one thing. And if they are dependent, then I don't know that his income will even matter because he's technically a dependent. So anyway, but I don't want to get into too much trouble with that, so talk to our legal team. That's it for our Q&A for this Sunday. I will see you next week, and watch the channel to find out more about this and the public health system in El Salvador. I am Jeni Ari, shining my light so you can shine yours. I'll see you later. Bye, Ginger.